All right, let's do this. Good to be back in the saddle. Underdog daily with the BadgeBros singular RotoRun SoloRun old school. Get your Mr. Boys in the chat. He's hanging out there. I'm sorry, guys. I messed up the redirect from off and on the clock over here. So hopefully you guys can refresh and find your way back over. Yeah, we got a smart enough crowd that'll figure that one out. Fun draft there with Nez and Pete. Fun to talk through some of the stuff. Gonna start with some a little bit of overlap, just in case you didn't see the previous program. I have a couple things that I wanted to bring up for the people. But yeah, good to be back here. Nez held down the fort beautifully. A whole bunch of members only shows there. Gave out that Wilmer Flores. We had the return of the no strip Nez. Yeah, and then today we're gonna talk a little bit of conference finals here. We got contests up for both Puck and NBA there. We got a little WNBA that who knows, maybe I can, mess my way through there. We will see. We're going to take a look at the advancing teams. Do I have any teams left? I've been holding out. I've been holding out here to see. But yeah, let's just hop right in and a little bit of laundry list of stuff. We got the nice GMs popping up on the side there. I'm a fan of this. I am a fan of having the chat on the screen like this. Cool look for the community. Yeah, let's start. We were doing the football stuff, obviously, there. Just want to run it back with the Cardio Club here. Remind everybody this tweet has been shared and reshared and everything. But Cardio Club has some good incentives and good prizes, not only for your health and well-being, but also financially, where you can win max BBM entries for next season there. So just wanted to remind everybody of that. Shout out to our guy, Sanjay Rich, aka Joshua, who took down the baseball last night and then donated 10 memberships in the previous stream there for the community. Much love. Graduated law school and then takes down an MLB slate. Truly goated behavior on the platform right there. And then something we touched on briefly there, fantasybestball.com. If you guys want to create a lineup for the season, go check out our friend Justin Herzig's work over there. And then member of the community, my guy Paid. I saw this morning, didn't have many views on it, whatever. I wanted to show it on the stream and give it a retweet. You guys know that if you create something in this community, if you provide some data, if you share anything, I will always try and find you and share it here. I thought this was very cool. He was just sharing his stacks for the baseball slate, and then he was sharing, what the average team ADP would be, and then his calculations of fantasy points projected for the ADP. So this directly applies to today's 11-game slate there. He has the Phillies as a top stack. He has Seattle, a little bit of weather, as he notes, with the Seattle spot there. But I just thought this was really cool. Just really proud of anyone in this space who wants to keep creating and growing the games alongside us. Thought this was very cool from a longtime member of the community, Paid there. What else did I have? I will drop the link for the fantasy best ball into the chat here. We did it last show, so I'm not gonna share my thoughts on my salary there, guys. But we will do a unabated NBA breakdown for the 2-game slate here. Then we will do probably a puck draft or two, and then go into the baseball. But first things first, we gave our shout out to our winner from last night, but we can go ahead and take a look at it in the app here. Son J Rich, I was at a ferry terminal yesterday. Here we go. And trying to jam Moonshot Mondays, as Nez alluded to, 70K or 69 to be exact, in prizes yesterday on Underdog. Unbelievable stuff for baseball there. Love to see it. I tried to jam as many as I could with 1-bar service as I was running up to the front near the ferry there to try and get more bars to get some drafts in. Truly sick behavior there. But here's the team. Here is the team. Sonny Gray pitched his ass off yesterday, 21 fantasy points. We had Philadelphia, the Phillies, in Coors there with Trey Turner putting up that 23. Mookie Betts had a 2-home run night there. Taylor Ward and Cedric Mullins finding home runs in their game. And then Bobby Witt Jr. didn't even need him because he hit the nuts with everything else. So a evergreen reminder here. that you can win with the 5 one-off strategy if you know the best plays. And clearly, our guy Joshua knew the best plays, because here he is again here with the overlap in it. Turner, Betts, Ward, Mullins. He was just like, I know who the best plays are tonight, and I'm going to play them multiple ways. And then I'm just going to tack on one of the 2 top starting pitchers on the slate and then a random 5th bat. So cool to see there, man. Very cool. And, you're not going to get duped when you play the best plays and you just find the best plays there. So big shout out to him. All right. Moment of truth. Moment of truth for me to see if I am any good at the games. We're going to go to the live tab. We are going to go to the best ball tab. NBA. We got 3 dance teams left, and we got 1 Gills Arena team left. All right. Not bad. We got something to work with here. Obviously, that round was the toughest to get out of. What was it? 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 16 in the previous round there. So tough one to get through. Let's see if they're live. First dance team here has Steph Curry. That's not great. Denver, not great. Denver, not great. So that team is dead. We have 1 dead dance team. Dance team number 2, obviously, Buster Boys is in here. Truly sick. Cleveland is dead. Denver is dead. We have the Pacers left. That team is also dead. We are just playing Pacers in that one. And our third and final dance team, we got Knicks. We got Denver. We got Knicks. We got Denver. I know for a fact that this is the identical team that is in Gills, because I duped myself back to back doing the exact same draft. So I think we're drawing dead for the dance, guys. Unfortunate there. We could get some decent cashes. Yeah, exact same team here. We could get some decent cashes if the Knicks do well. So we are going to be Knicks fans here. But yeah, we're going to have no, monster stacked or finals teams really, because all of our adjacent pieces are dead. But fortunate to get 4 entries through there. What else were we looking for? The puck streets. The puck streets. We are dead in the Zamboni, but we have 2 big Zambonis remaining. Okay. So 2 out of 3 big Zambonis coming through here. Florida, Dallas, and Edmonton. Yeah, that's the nuts. That's the nuts. Okay. Okay, so we're cooking a little bit in the big Zamboni. And big Zamboni number 2, Toronto, Dallas, and the Kings. So we basically only have Dallas live here. So not bad, not bad. We definitely have a we definitely have a chance here. Andrew's telling me that if I look at the competitors in the Gills Arena one, that I still could advance there. Okay, that seems good. Blake, my guy's cheering for OKC and New York finals one time. I would not be opposed. I would not be opposed there. Jumfrey was lucky enough to have a pod where his only full team, but it'll probably be mega duped. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, a little pod luck to get through there. Mitch wants me to check the Albatross. All right, so we had a major over the weekend there. Actually, you know what's pretty funny about the Albatross, guys, is the whole thesis of the show with AMAC was the reason we liked Rory, because the hardest round to advance was going to be round 2 at Quail Hollow. Quail Hollow, where he holds the course record. And the whole reason we had so much Rory, and even at the expense of Scotty a couple times, was the fact that we wanted Rory to win this round. And then the irony that Scotty has the bad Masters, or bad in quotations comparatively. Rory wins the Masters, and then Rory's nowhere in contention this weekend. And Scotty's the guy who wins when the whole thesis was set up for Rory to win this weekend. Is pretty funny, but yeah. All right. Mitch says he has a Scotty team left. Let's see what I got. 17 Albatrosses through. We have 1, we have 2, and a couple second places. So we only got 2 of 17 through here, which is, a tough round to get through. It was 1 of 10. right? Here's a Xander Schauffele one. Justin Rose, Matt Fitzpatrick, good Canadian kid. Taylor Pendrith in here. Not bad. Not bad. Not a Scotty team and not a Rory team. Here's another Scheifele team. Neiman again. Pendrith again. Yeah, very, very similar overlap in the teams there. So, yeah, I think my first 3 picks in both of them were the same. Yeah. We got horses. We got horses, but no Scotty, no Rory for me. And just lucky to get a couple through there. So we got horses left in all 3 sports, but our strongest ones are definitely in the puck streets. And realistically, it is just that one team where everyone is live. Edmonton, Florida, and Dallas. Like, this team's a wagon. It doesn't have a crazy contrarian additive to it, really. But this is just a very good team to have. I guess Marchand would probably be the biggest scroll here. So, yeah. Cole saying round 2 was the hardest to advance. I'm pretty sure round 2 in the Albatross was the hardest. That's the one that we kept talking about, right? I'm pretty sure it was round 2 was the hardest. If memory serves. Someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong on that one. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about the slates today. Let's start with the hoops. From here on out, guys, the structure of hoops drafting will be one day plus another day. We just don't do the single game contests anymore. And you guys have figured out as to why. Although I will remind everybody that when Rudman was on the show, and Rudman did remind us all of, they've been looking into ways and creative ways to invent new contests for the site. One of the ones in which he flirted out there was, series long contests. So we could have series long ones in the future. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Respooked 3 Gills team. Get to Gills house. That'd be good quality entertainment. Get to Gills house there. Yeah, round 3 6-man pods. So it round 2 was like the biggest one to get through, and then it goes back to 6s. So that's why round 2 was always the toughest one. Yeah, best ball. Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's talk a little hoops here. We're going to be dealing with these game one, and then after both games ones subside, the new contest opens for game two, and so forth from there on. That is the ebbs and flows of the series. Now, man, that OKC game 7 game, I'm not gonna lie, I was out in the yard doing some laboring, and came in and out a couple times just to check in on it. And I was gonna watch the 4th, and then just didn't even bother watching the 4th the way it was. But I've joked with Numi behind closed doors. I've joked with people. That was game 7 in my estimation. That was game 7 of the NBA Finals, that Denver versus OKC, because I think those 2 teams left are, I'm not going to write any of these teams off. I'm cheering for good basketball. I think OKC is an absolute wagon. I think they are a wagon. And getting through their toughest hurdle of getting through Joker there and Aaron Gordon fighting through whatever he was fighting through there was a truly impressive feat. And more of a traditional style basketball matchup against the T-Wolves here with, a traditional 5 and in Gobert and that style. I think it's going to lend itself better to OKC again here. And, I'm not out here to call our shots and that sort of thing, but, I'd be shocked if this one went 7 against Minnesota. I'm sorry, Numi. I'm sorry, earmuffs, but I'm excited to see Ant versus SGA on national stage. 2 of the emerging, within the basketball circles, we know, especially within the fantasy circles, we know that they are, both top 8, guard talents on planet Earth, maybe top 10, 15 talents in the league. SGA probably going to win MVP. That hasn't happened yet, right? But Yeah, I love this showcase for the sport of like, hey, we have a rivalry with the Knicks and Pacers dating back, very many years, and back to the Reggie Miller era and that sort of thing. So it's gonna, reinvigorate Knicks fans. I love having the center of the basketball world, the Mecca, as part of this. And then you have two, a more younger emerging teams who not everybody watches on an every night basis in terms of like national viewing market. So I'm excited to see SGA versus Ant. I hope Ant can play, I hope Ant can play the way in which he is capable of playing in this series, because I do want him to be the dog that he is, because I think he's a very fun basketball player to watch. Let's jump over to Unabated just to talk through it. Obviously, one game is tonight, the other game is tomorrow. The lower of the two totals is this OKC game here. Thunder at home, -7 favorites at home here. This is a 217.5. Injury report is as clean can be. I will just refresh right now to make sure I have the most updated version to make sure nothing has happened. Yes, we are still just dealing with exactly what we were dealing with earlier in the day, which is nothing to worry about. But how are these rotations going to look? What adjustments can be made? What is going to happen? Time will tell. Time will tell when we see this series. But I do see this series set up quite well for Chet. I'm not going to lie. And I know that doesn't sound, on the surface, dealing with Rudy Gobert does not sound amazing. I think you can use Hartenstein on Gobert, both like more prototypical drop fives, and then that frees up Chet to just kind of like slough off defensively a little bit and be a help side guy, because not much offense is going to run through Gobert. So I think using Chet as like a help side guy to then work off of, I don't know, like Naz Reid, if he's out there with the bench unit. Let's think about the starting unit. He won't be primary defender on Randall, but he'll be help side guy on Randall, which will make for a very tough matchup for Randall, right? So I think what you do is Dort on Randall, and then Chet can just be swing side help guy for both of the bigs. And you can just bury Chet on like Mike Connolly or something like that. And then Connolly can't get a shot off at the perimeter, but then also Chet can sag, and then you can dare Connolly to shoot because you can just let it funnel through him. Who cares? And then, you play that. So my initial looking at the rankings and looking at ADP rather, and looking at how these two would play against each other tonight, I was like, wow, I really like where Chet is. Like Chet behind Josh Hart and Siakam kind of stood out to me. Like I was like, this feels like a decent little spot for Chet in my estimation, but like that's pure bro science and just like how I'm looking at the matchup through like my lens, Jumfrey saying the most mid IQ betting take so far is that Randall hires cause Chet because Chet is skinny. I mean, yes, I fully agree. That's not how I see the scenario. That's not the situation that I am looking at. I will go ahead and see. Give me 1 second. Just to do something on the side here that wasn't available earlier. Sorry, bad radio for half a second. And see if I can mix something up. All right. We do have, I usually reserve it for the paywall crowd, but we do have Unabated's, set up right now. And no surprise, it's pretty close to in line with what we're seeing on the site right now. Obviously, we do not have projections for the second game, but I will bring it to everyone's attention that they do have Chet as the 5th highest projecting player in the game, which, yeah, that's not overly surprising. 31 minutes, 35 fantasy points. Randall's projected for 38 minutes, 37 fantasy points. I'd venture to guess, if we made a Josh Hart projection and put a Josh Hart projection in there, he would be kind of like 38 minutes, 33 fantasy points, 34 fantasy points in terms of fantasy point per minute. So he would be kind of like right beside Chet. So Chet isn't popping to the same extent as I would like to see from the projection, but he is still like, well over a 1.3 per minute kind of guy. So yeah, interesting. Just looking at that here. I'll just share with everybody for a second here, looking at, what we got on the unabated side. There, you guys can take a look at that. That'll adjust multiple times from here on out. Yeah, so that's my initial read just on like this series, this setup. Like I think OKC is like a way better basketball team. I think you probably need the size of Hartenstein out there versus Gobert. I think there's a non-zero chance that you could try and play small if you are OKC, but only if you need to. And that'll probably be because they played more minutes of Naz Reid at the 5 on the other side. So that will be the push-pull to watch throughout the series, is if either team wants to play small, the minutes of Gobert and the ceiling of Gobert go down because they need offense. And then that offense probably comes by way of Naz Reid off the bench, right? That'll probably be the push-pull. And if you need shooting, Dante off the bench. But yeah, rotation's going to be somewhat similar, I would say, for the Wolves to last series, unless we see some outlier stuff with Gobert. So when I'm looking at ADP and projections right now, I'm like, where can we find, some swing spots, basically? And we haven't got to the Knicks game yet, but the swing spots in which we'll talk about always are which of the 3 Knicks wings and which do you prefer between Brunson and Cat. Those will be like the 2 pivotal, like constant talking spots there within the, and I'm speaking within the framework of our own teams, right? Or within the framework of their own team. The other push pull will be, can you play small with Chet at the 5 and then Hartenstein minutes not being out there, and then Hartenstein versus Gobert? Do they, there's some overlap in terms of like them both playing big minutes will be because both of them are on the floor kind of deal. So that would be kind of like my first place to look for this series there. Yeah, I don't know. What else you guys think there? That's kind of all I got for game 1. We did see some like minutes push pull with like the back end of OKC, which we'll deal with in the 6th round here. Like Caruso started the second half of game 7 there. So like when Caruso's minutes are up, that usually comes at the expense of them playing smaller with Hartenstein. So there's another push-pull dynamic. Other ones will be like, do they need Case and Wallace scoring? Do you want the minutes of Lou Dort and the defensive assignment of him? Or do you want second unit scoring from Case and Wallace, from Jay Will, who had one game mixed in there? I think it was game 6 that was halfway decent where he killed a pick'em of ours. Or do you need Aaron Wiggins to come on and score? So like the push-pull of these 4, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at for the start of that series this evening. That's yeah. And then we could talk about the other one tomorrow there. Obviously the Pacers, like just in general of the 4 teams left, the Pacers tend to have the deepest of the rotations. The Pacers tend to play furthest on their bench, basically. Yeah, did I not eraser? Yeah, I mean, Na's fine. But if I'm looking for auxiliary scoring and fantasy points and that sort of thing, I think Na would be like my least favorite. I would have him ahead of like the Wiggins and Isaiah Joe tier, but then I would have like Na behind the next grouping. I guess there's a way in which T-Wolves can play smaller with Na, and Na works over Dante and probably Connolly. So if we want to talk about T-Wolves push-pull, it'll be Connolly, Dante, and Na. And Na's closer to this tier than he is undraftable territory. You know, that's all I would say there. I think that's like we saw, the direct push pull in that Warriors series where like we'll go ahead and look at that would have been game 3, I think. Game 3, the 28 fantasy points, and then the 20 fantasy point one. It'll directly coincide with the games in which Dante did not have ceiling output, but we saw ceiling output from Dante mainly by way of the stocks in the last game there. And then Connolly is probably the safest of the bunch for those minutes. Yeah. So I think Connolly's the safest. I think Dante's the guy who can shoot. And I think if both of them fall out flat on their face in a game, that then, we turn to Nah kind of thing, right? This is a good take. Nah's been locking up SGA since elementary school. I like that take. I mean, if you just have to be like, who's my primary defender that I want on SGA, it has to be McDaniels. Like that's what I want. Like that's what I want. No, like that's my on ball that I'd want to. Using Nah in this series is definitely going to be. I think it's not going to be the way you start, but it's definitely the way in which you could finish in the future if things don't break right. I don't think they're walking into this series and being like, yeah, use Nah. Like right now, we gotta. That's not how they're treating tonight's game. Is kind of where I'm at on it. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see this evening. All right. Other game is going to be the faster and the higher total of the bunch. Here, as I was trying to get to there with the Pacers, probably going to have the deepest rotation out of anyone. Knicks are going to have the most condensed, just things we are accustomed to. This series went 7 last year. It was in the semifinals, not in the Eastern Finals. Home team, I think, took almost all those games. What were we dealing with here? Let me find it. Knicks at home, Pacers at home, Pacers at home, Knicks at home, Pacers at home, and then Pacers game 7 on the road took that one. Wow, Dante DiVincenzo had 39 in that game. So yeah, some decently high totals there, as it obviously notable that it's like a 15-point higher. Not quite. I got over my skis there. It's like 8 points higher than the other one. But yeah, expecting tempo here, expecting condensed. Not a ton to say in terms of the matchup stuff. I think I like the Cat matchup this series more than last series, but that's not saying much. I do think your need for Mitchell Robinson in this series seems less because you're going to have a Pacers team that plays a bit smaller when it's like Miles Turner at the 5 and that sort of thing. I think you can still run a second unit that has Mitchell Robinson in it, but I kind of like the thought of like Cat banging bodies with Turner. No, that's kind of where I'm at mentally here. That being said, I do like Brunson in a vacuum more, but the on ball defense of Nembhard is no joke, and we saw it all last year in that series, and then we've seen a little bit of it this postseason. Obviously, not versus Brunson yet. So when I was drafting this morning, I only did like a handful to get prepped for the show. I was doing other stuff and then getting the football and that sort of stuff done. Getting caught up after missing the weekend kind of deal. I think I would like Brunson over Towns, but it is like a true flip of the coin spot here. I think Hallie, you can make a case for being over both of them, but I think if you're just mixing and matching this tier over and over again, the tier looks like this. I think it's Brunson, I think it's Cat, I think it's Tyrese, and I think it's J-Dub in this tier, and you can mix and match as you see fit. And then I think Randall's in the tier below. And we talked a little bit about why in the previous game matchup with the Dort assignment, with the help side being, more formidable in this series because you can work off of Gobert and that stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm at to start the series here. And then we get into that kind of like next tier. I do think it is just an SGA and a Edwards tier 1 here. Yeah, man, Ant-Man going off tonight. I mean, you could see that for sure, but I don't love the Ant matchup. Like, I way prefer SGA by like 10 fantasy points. Like, I don't think that's saying anything, but like, I much prefer SGA in this spot. I much prefer J-Dub to a large portion of that grouping as well. So yeah, I think like long-winded way of saying I think Ant's closer to J-Dub than Ant is to SGA. Like that's how I read it. That's how I read this slate. So yeah. Cat at 6. Yeah. T-Bear saying Gobert should go off. I don't know why. Why would Gobert go off? Like Gobert is not a focal point of the offense, and he had one offensive explosion. But they don't want to run stuff through Gobert, and I don't think the Hartenstein matchup is one that you're like, oh, let's attack this. Like Hartenstein played very well, versus Joker, as well as you can play. I mean, he obviously still gets cooked because it's Joker, but like. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, this is kind of like long-winded way of like SGA and Ant are a tier. And then this next tier is kind of like mix and match these 5. Any combination of them is fine in my estimation, but like Randall's like a little bit buried. Yeah. 15 boards and 4 blocks is not going off. Like that's not what we're talking about. Like that's scoring fantasy points. Like that's 8 points. There you go. That's far more realistic. That's fine. I think that's what we talked about in terms of like the swing guys is like the extreme variance and volatility are going to be found in those wings and then Gobert and Hartenstein because they could play each other off of the floor or they could bang all night kind of thing. And yeah. And you want to embrace some of that variance in these draft games, of course, right? Yeah, that's kind of the next tier for me. We could kind of move on from that. There's going to be some push-pull with the Hart versus OG versus Bridges. I always gravitate to Hart over the bunch, but I'm fine with all 3 here. I probably rank it in this order, but I like getting the cheapest to the price point. I like Chet over all of them tonight. I like Chet over Siakam as well. Siakam's going to be dealing with some tough wing defending, whichever one of these guys it comes from. Most likely it's going to come from OG in my estimation. So yeah, I kind of like the Miles Turner matchup more than the Siakam matchup, which was just kind of true of last series at times as well. Yeah. And we talked about last series, the push-pull with like Nembhard having the ball in his hands and being more ball dominant in the postseason right now, that it kind of comes at the expense of Pascal, but Pascal can still do his, 22, 8, and 5 thing that he tends to do, right? And then hope he falls into a stock or two. But of this grouping, I'm prioritizing Chet and Hart over Siakam right now. And I kind of prefer, if I rank it out, I'll probably rank it out this way because Siakam doesn't fall as frequently as Turner does. And I don't want to have like a huge overweight Turner stance. He is a guy who can get blocks, but he can also get in foul trouble. I will kind of mix and match those 2 there. I like Nembhard a little bit more than ADP right now does. McDaniels is going to have like, the tough defensive assignment and do what he does with like these 30 fantasy points, but he plays big minutes. That's just who he is. We know he's bad from a rates standpoint, but he's going to be out there a shit ton as an on-ball defender. So, you just kind of take him at ADP. Then the 2 bigs, we talked about that ad nauseum. You can mix and match as you see fit. If you think they play small, you should be boosting Caruso because Caruso's the guy that would start the second half. And then if they do like some Chet at the 5 stuff, that's who you should be boosting in my estimation. Boost Caruso, boost Lou Dort a little bit, though he doesn't get it done offensively all that much. I think Naz Reid, obviously the push-pull with him and Gobert, where if it's the Naz Reid game, it almost always comes minutes-wise at the expense of Gobert. I don't think we see much overlap between them initially in this series. If they're getting cooked by, Chet and Hartenstein, and they're playing big minutes on the floor together, then you could see the 2 bigs play alongside one another. So there's that. Naismith's going to, start and be the 5th option, that sort of deal for that starting unit. He can fall into a bunch of rebounds versus the Knicks if Mitchell Robinson is not on the floor. Mitchell Robinson's been very good from a rebounding rate. Naismith could be the benefactor of taking some of Cat's boards, that kind of thing. Yeah, and then we can kind of go down here and play whack-a-mole with, do we think Mitchell Robinson gets more burn in this series than last? I think the need for him is less in this series than the last series. So I don't think you need to match size as heavily with the Pacers. That being said, he's a good rim protector, and we saw it in the last series with the Pacers. They were getting to the rack at almost at will versus better big defenders there. So yeah, I think they'll start by playing the same way in which they played last series, and that will be Mitch, Rob, and Cat having a little bit of that overlap off of the bench, that sort of deal. But yeah. And then you just take some swings on the wild cards at the back end here. If everybody's going to take Dante and Mike Connolly over and over again at the back, you got to take some swings to get different. And this tier is really flat from basically Robinson downward is extremely flat in my estimation. Like, we could talk about the archetype of Dort again, where it's like you're buying minutes. You're kind of buying just discount Jaden McDaniels, where you're buying minutes, but you're not buying huge fantasy outputs. You're trying to get a couple threes out of him if he knocks a couple down, and then a couple steals on the defensive end. That's basically what we're looking for. TJ's obviously the super duper wild card. If Brunson gets into foul trouble or one of the wings gets into foul trouble, Deuce McBride comes in and he's instant offense, instant scoring. And we saw a little bit of that at the tail end of the Boston series there. Granted, a little bit of blowout in parentheses run in those games there. So, yeah, or maybe not blowout, but just large lead run. So, McBride gets extended a bit there. I'd put Benny Math in this same conversation where he's entirely draftable down here. And then Na and Wiggins to a little bit lesser of extent in that next grouping. Cason Wallace is in here. Obi Toppin, I don't think this is necessarily, I know we could go revenge, ain't no stopping Obi Toppin revenge series on it from a narrative standpoint. I'm not sure that this is the one where they just go, hey, we're unleashing Obi Toppin. I don't think this is the Obi Toppin spot I want to attack unless I see it first. I think they're quite comfortable with the Naismith role right now. Yeah, maybe Obi Toppin, his path is backup 5 run if Turner gets into foul trouble. And the way in which Turner gets into foul trouble is if he's the primary defender on Cat, and then they just go Cat, attack Turner, go, 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 go to start the game. So if that's the Knicks game plan tomorrow night, then maybe we end up seeing Obi Toppin with some early relief there. But we did see in the previous series, I think it was game 2 or game 3, where they weren't scared to go to Jarris Walker when Turner was in early foul trouble. Or was it Naismith was in early foul trouble and they went to Walker? So, it's not as clean as just Obi comes in that spot. But he's definitely draftable for unique leverage in this, because I'm not particularly scared, guys, especially on this slate, of who is the falling GM, component in the 6th round here. Because I don't think, I guess it would be Caruso, because Caruso's kind of my favorite of the bunch. But Naz Reid, if the minutes break the right weight and they need offense off the bench and they want to play a bit smaller, he gets expanded. He could win you the slate. If they match that matchup with Caruso, he could win you the slate. If Dante comes off the bench and those minutes come at the expense of Connolly and Na, and he fills it up from 3, he could win you the slate. So I'm not really scared of the GM creators. I'm more getting, I'm more getting exploitative with, I'm getting, how do I word this? I'm getting less hyper exploitative in terms of one target in the 6th round is that's the best play right now. I think there's reasons to take shots on almost all of these guys. Go Curry asking for WNBA slate. My WNBA slate breakdowns are lagging behind right now. I got to do some more work on the WNBA, but I will rip a draft for the bit equity of it. Admittedly, I'm lagging behind in the knowledge department there. I'm going to do the 3 other sports first. Who is our Luke Cornett of the evening? Who is the guy with the big ceiling who could come in and slate break for us? I mean, uh, I'm not sure it exists yet on with the limited knowledge we have right now. I think TJ, getting expanded minutes. If Hallie, gets a couple quick ones, there's a path to like a high rates guy. I think Dante coming off the bench and just shooting the lights out, there's a path. I think Mitch Rob, if they do play some double big stuff and we see like Obi Toppin and Miles Turner play alongside each other, and then they want to match size with Mitch Rob and Cat. But I think that one, in my estimation, is the least likely of the bunch there. I guess Dante from like a fill it up from 3. I think Nah from like Alexander Walker from a leverage standpoint, because he can push pull some minutes. Deuce is basically like foul trouble for somebody, and then they need scoring, and it's the higher scoring of the 2 game environments. So, I mean, I could paint like some pretty bull cases for like a lot of components down here, which is rare on a two game. Troy likes Deuce. Yeah, I think Deuce could be that guy for sure. If they need scoring, if they need instant offense, or if, Brunson gets a couple quick ones, or if Brunson is having a tough time working off of Nemhard, then they could run, some smaller lineups with both Deuce and him on the floor. Let's hop in here, little 2 gamer. See what happens once we're in the rooms. We'll rip 1 or 2 of these here and see what they look like on the fly. All right. TG601, say what up if you're in the chat. Trackus is in here. I know that. Pitch is hanging out. King Brad 3, if you are here, say what up, my friend. I think the toughest draft slot right now is this 104. I really like the 101, obviously, where you get the highest projecting play on the slate in terms of SGA, and then you get 2 under projecting on the site plays that I think will project better in third-party resources, that being Chet paired alongside him. So, yeah. We got to hop in the W streets, man. We got to. The people love the bit too much. I can't pronounce any of the names. I'm awful at it. Oh, man. We'll see. We will see. All right. I had a little list of what I wanted to hit today. We hit the advancement for all the contests there. If you guys missed that, go back in time. NBA, NHL, PGA. Pepper Tony, is SGA such a clear number 1 over Ant? Yeah. I mean, I have him. Unabated has him 10 or 11 fantasy points clear of him. I have him 12 on the side here when I do my combo stuff. Yeah. I mean, anything can happen. It's one isolated game of basketball, and Ant's a dog, man. He can get his shots up, but it is a tough matchup with the quality team defense of the Thunder, who were the best defensive team in the league, man. All right. So we could do the Hallie thing here and put it with J-Dub. We could play the game stack of like Hallie plus Cat. I do like J-Dub in a good way tonight. I just like him in general. I thought he played really well from the condensed highlights that I watched from Game 7. Obviously, I alluded to the fact that I didn't watch all of Game 7 there. Let's go ahead and take Hallie. I think the matchup for Hallie is better than the matchup for Brunson, if that makes sense. That being said, I think I still prefer Brunson in a vacuum. Yeah, Troy's saying that it might be smart for the game stack and then hope that one game goes bad. Absolutely. Yeah, people are going to be less enthused to game stack game 2 as well, because we just know less and there's less projections out on game 2. So kind of one of those evergreen principles of, if you want to get the comments off for a second so we can get the team. But yeah, if you're going to game stack a game, I think probably game 2. It's the higher of the two team totals. It is the closer of the two team spreads. That being said, yeah, maybe everybody looks at it that way. Yeah, it's also easier to do, but yeah. Yeah, Never Hallie morphing into Never Cat. Absolutely. Evan's asking, next slate would be Thursday, guessing there's no overlap like Primetime Palooza. That's my understanding. That's my understanding is they won't overlap the slates. So to be game 1 and game 1, game 2 and game 2, it won't be like, we have some information from one series and not from the other. But don't quote me on it. Don't quote me on it. It might change. I think I like OG a little bit more than Bridges. I think this tier is extremely flat. I think you could do, you know what? Let's do it. Never mind. Let's go. Let's fade Knicks wings. They all cannibalize one another, and we play the narrative of big versus big in tonight's ball game. And we go Hartenstein and Gobert, and we do it on the right-hand side of the board where nobody else is going to do it because they're all waiting for it to fall on the left side. So let's flip the board here in the second round in a logical fashion by saying, hey, if Gobert goes nice, it's probably because Hartenstein's going nice. Now, they might cannibalize each other's production numbers a little bit, but the reason in which they're strongly correlated is because their minutes will stay tethered to one another. Yeah. Let's see what else is cooking here. Turner, Nembhard at 14. I like a little bit of Nembhard. I don't think Bridges and OG should be falling this far for what it's worth. I think I like OG and Bridges more than Jaden McDaniels. Just the faster of the two game environments, more talented offensively in terms of ceiling outputs. But I like that Nembhard flip the board there from pitch. Looks like he's building out a little bit of a game stack. He's got 2 Pacers pieces, 2 Knicks pieces. Let's see how he lands this plane here. You could scroll down for like Mitchell Robinson and then tack on like TJ McConnell. He opts to go the Caruso route. Naz Reid is the highest in our face here, but our whole thesis is the fact that, can Naz Reid score enough fantasy points while Gobert also has a ceiling game? Yes, of course, but it's a little less likely, I think. So let's go ahead and take Dante here with our first pick because the ceiling output of Dante plus Gobert is more correlated than the ceiling output of Naz Reid and Gobert, in my estimation. We got 2 OKC pieces. We got 1 Pacers piece, and we got 2 of the T-Wolves pieces. Let's scroll the F down here and say, because it's a Hallie game, it is not a Brunson game, which means Brunson's either in foul trouble early or Brunson, the Pacers are running away with this one on the road, which is not what the spread says, but in theory could happen here. And McBride is the guy you need off the bench there. McBride for a little bit of scoring, and the ceiling is, cannibalizing that of the Mitchell Robinson teams, basically. Austin saying that the winner of these slates constantly not being dupe has been wild. Yeah, man, such is the nature of basketball. Like, you play all season long in the basketball, and you're like, how the fuck is that lineup not duped? And it's just not. Somehow, magically, in an 18,000 person field, some of them are just not duped on 2 and 3 and 4 game slates. Truly wild. Pepper Tony's saying a little bit of a GM for King Brad there. Let's take a look at King Brad's team. He was the recipient of the Knicks falling wings. So yeah, lost that one quickly there. Let's rip another one. Gotta get some volume in before the day ends here. Get my ranks set up and rip some autos in a bit here. But we'll go ahead and rip one more with the community. Would you draft Cat and Mitchell on the same team? I've been avoiding. I think it's fine. I think there are some paths to them playing double big, but it definitely is a pairing that I have fade. It is definitely a pairing that I tend to fade as well. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But yeah. We got Andrew in the 101. Welcome back, New York, Andrew. GPN GC. Welcome back, bro. He took down the baseball slate, his very first night back. So shout out to him. Jumfrey's hanging out in the chat, and John Boy Beats, longtime friend of the show, here in the 2-hole. Let's get after it with some of the best on the platform right here. Yeah, I'm trying to think some other stuff. Yeah, I don't anticipate any starting lineup adjustments. There's nothing injury related to be worried about as of yet. Yeah. I think that's all I got, guys. Yeah, that's all I got on the hoop stuff. Close out some windows here and get ready to talk a little baseball and or puck. Austin asking how many NFL drafts I've done. Oh, we're on the clock. My bad. What did we do last time? We did Hallie plus J-Dub. Let's do J-Dub plus Cat. Do J-Dub plus Cat. We haven't seen a Cat ceiling game in a bit, but the lesser sized Miles Turner, potentially. Better matchup for him. I don't know. What do you guys think? You would have thought he could do some work versus, Cornette and Horford and these guys, but I don't know. Just less funneling through Cat these days. Looks like Andrew's auto drafting, and he has Chet behind. JBB has Chet ahead of Miles Turner. Miles Turner goes there. This is where you should probably take at least one of the two Knicks wings. Taking both is probably overkill. Let's take OG. Knocks down a couple threes here. And then let's scroll the F down and take Nemhard for a little game correlation on the right-hand side of the board there. Nemhard just going to be the on-ball defender, which opens him up for so much stock potential. And also, he has a lot of handling right now. Okay, you've done 8 weekly winners, 3 BBMs, 15 schnauzers. Good for you, man. That's a good haul so far. That's a good haul. I did a couple BBMs when I was at the cabin there, so I think I've done 5 or 6 BBMs now. I've done like 3 or 4 on stream. I've done not a ton of weekly winners yet because I was waiting for the schedule. And I've done a marathon. I've done... Yeah, I did a couple. Not a couple, but when basketball ends, football is going to fully ramp up. I got to start doing some more of the cardio club variety here. Naismith comes back to us, which is fine, I think, to do a little game stack and then do a scroll the F down. Or we could take somebody else from the other game environment. I think Caruso would have been my favorite there, but he's gone already. I think I like Dante more than I like Connolly, just from a pure rate standpoint. But Connolly was shooting pretty well at the tail end of that last series, and they were relying on him a little bit more for offense with the first unit, which I found kind of surprising. Let's do a scroll the F down to TJ here. We'll do 3 Pacers pieces, and we'll do TJ alongside our Knicks game stack, and then the first round score you need is J-Dub. See what that one does there. Get a little peek at the rankings for these guys. Jump Free is hand drafting, but I believe the other 2 are auto drafting. So we will see how they close this bad boy out. And then we'll turn the page. Cason Wallace has a fine scroll. Dante DiVincenzo has an auto pick from J-Dub or from JBB there. And then Andrew, we will see who he picks here. Let's see. I'll expand the board on the other side. Come on, Andrew. Who did you take? I expanded it and I keep refreshing it on the other screen. It's not telling me who he took. What is going on? There we go. He took Mitchell Robinson. There you go. Mitchell Robinson. So, yeah, not bad. Not bad. Looking forward to these basketball games, like just in general, from like a watching standpoint. Patrick asking, did I do some big boards pre-draft? Yeah. I took a decent amount. Took a decent amount of we did the $100 ones and then the $200 or the $250. We did a couple on stream there, and then I think I maybe did like 10 something big boards, not a ton. I more focused on the daily streets until football season rolls around with the draft and stuff. Respooked asking, what team do you think will be the GM today? I think it's probably Hallie falling back to an SGA or an AAD, an Ant team. Like if someone takes Ant 1, SGA at 2, and then either Cat or Hallie fall back. I don't imagine there'll be any Brunson falling back. I don't imagine there'll be any J-Dub falling back. I think it'll be a Cat SGA, or it'll be like a SGA Hallie at best. I mean, never say never, right? Like every room's so different. Oh, Patrick maxed. The big board should have saved for BBM. I mean, that's how I always feel. I always think about that after. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I think Cat plus SGA is probably fine. Pepper Tony saying he has SGA at 2, Hallie at 7, but he probably crashed the plane. Yeah, I think those are fine. If we can predict what the GM is going to look like, it's probably fine, right? All right, let's dust off the old model for the puck guys. Let's see if we could jump in here, rip one puck draft, then we will rip some baseball drafts. We got Carolina versus Florida, and then we got Edmonton versus Dallas. We roll the 1-0-1. King Brad in here again. The great Sam Olsen alongside him. Carey Blue. Let's get after it here. We're going to take Connor McDavid because Nez is not here. I will just remind people that we got the daily face-off resource. That is kind of like if you just want to hop in to the streets for the first time, go ahead and use dailyfaceoff.com. Drop that one in the chat for everybody there. It'll tell you the line combinations. It'll tell you who the goaltenders are going to be. Freddie Anderson, anticipating him for Carolina this evening. Sergei Bobrovsky. He's on the case. Bobrovsky. Yeah, don't stack against your own goalie. You can have a one-off or two against your own goalie. It's fine. But generally speaking, if a goalie between these four teams finds his way to shutout territory, he's going to be the guy you had to have. So never goalie until you need goalie. I'm going to take Connor McDavid here. If we look at the recent line combos for the Oilers, they were mixing and matching a little bit there. They did the Draisaitl plus McDavid for a little bit. They've gone back to Nugent Hopkins plus Connor McDavid plus Zach Hyman. But then on the power play, then they play together again. Shout out to my guy, Troy Stetcher, the pride of our local golf club here. He is, making his way back with Edmonton there. I think he played 2 games to end last series there. So wish him well playing alongside Darnell Nurse. Sam Olsen takes Mikko Rantanen at 3. All the picks coming from this game environment to start. We could go ahead and look at game environments there. It is the higher total of the two there, as you guys can see, with a 6 instead of the 5-5 there. Hurricanes, I thought, really did dominate the previous series in terms of shot attempts and that sort of thing against the Capitals. I thought they were very deserving of advancing. Interesting to note that both of the Edmonton defensemen are the 2 top defensemen in general there. I think we should probably go goaltender from the other game environment and then play a little bit of contrarian Dallas and Edmonton. I think Dallas and Edmonton's more likely to be the higher scoring of the two games to start. I think we do a little Edmonton. We could do like Hyman on line 1. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do Hyman on line 1 with McDavid. We could also add the Nuge to it if we wanted in the future here, but we'll do a little 2 line 1 Edmonton stack. We'll take Bobrovsky from the other game environment so we could still do Florida. It takes Carolina out of our pool, basically. This is an interesting. Kerry Blue goes with Anderson, but then goes Reinhart against him. Seth Jarvis plus Mikko for our guy Sam Olsen to start. Brad beside us is doing something similar with Florida from one game environment and Edmonton from the other. There's one thing that I haven't brought up on stream that I've been thinking about. I'm workshopping a take here about the puck stuff. Is with infinite overtime, like where we don't have a shootout in the regular season, there always has to be one final goal. And you also have to have one final goal, and you also get the baked in benefit of more shots, more hits, more whatever, the deeper the game goes. If it goes to 1 overtime, 2 overtimes. Now it's not as detrimental as basketball. Like basketball overtime is like infinitely more valuable than hockey overtime. But the fact that it can go forever, 20 minutes at a time, is like pretty crucial. Okay. Harley went, which is unfortunate for us. What if we do a little Jason Robertson and Miro? What do we think about this? Robinson working his way back into form. We play a game stack here. Bobrovsky gets a shutout elsewhere. Miro, the favorite or my favorite of the two defensemen. That being said, Harley's playing really well and playing a lot more minutes and residing on power play 1 right now until Miro is like fully back. Yeah. Let's do that. Miro and Robertson will be on power play 2 together by looks of it, unless some lineup amendments come. So we could do Robertson, and then we could do like Wyatt Johnson and or Matt Duchene. We could also full stack the Edmonton line there and add Nugent Hopkins to it. Interesting to note, Nuge used to have center eligibility. Now he has wing eligibility. There goes Wyatt Johnson and the Nuge. We could do like a one-off Carter Verhaeghe. The goal-scoring archetype of player is probably better to use as a one-off. That being said, he'll be paired with Sam Bennett and Kachuk so frequently. What if we took like a one-off? Verhaeghe goes there. We got to scroll the F down here. What about like a one-off? Blake's probably not a good one. What about a one-off Evan Rodriguez? There we go. We know Evan Rodriguez can put the puck in the back of the net. He's going to be like the most under-correlated line 1 component. He doesn't usually play on the power play. He plays on power play 2. Not bad. Thank you, Brett Boy, welcoming me back. GA wanted me to take Marchand. That would have been good. That would have been a good one. He's also a good one because he'll be on power play 2, but then he won't have overlap on the other units with because he'll play with like Lundell, right? So he'll play with like, he won't be playing with the guys who are routinely drafted. So if you get goal scoring from like the third line, there's a good guy to use. That's a good one. All right. Well, we take Evan Rodriguez. We have a perfectly cromulent McDavid and Hyman line 1 team. Then we got Robertson and Miro playing on line 2 power play from that game environment. Evan Rodriguez is the goal scorer you need from tonight's game for Florida at Carolina. And Bobrovsky, he is batting the hatches, shutting it down, and shutting out the Carolina Hurricanes at home this evening. Yeah, I like it. The Carolina Hurricanes being the ones at home this evening. That was not clear. All right. That was a fun one. That was a fun one there. Let's dive into the baseball slate. No, the people want WNBA. The people want WNBA. Let's get one WNBA draft in here. The Tuesday tip-off. I saw Lavalord near the top of the leaderboard, as he's prone to do. Only 2 games, 4-person lobbies here. Car Park is in here. Of course he is. I was wearing my Dirty Hands Clean Money shirt all weekend while I was in the forest, chopping down trees. The true hand builder that is. Went fishing this weekend as well. Got oysters, clams, and spot prawns. Didn't catch anything with the rods off the back of the boat. Some of the rockiest waters I'd been out in the boat in a long time. Rocky shit out there. We did some tree topping and some clearing of like blackberry bushes and all this stuff. So we just had a burn fire going all weekend, and we were just hanging out, chopping trees, trimming trees. Fun, man. It's fun. Sometimes you just need something like that to ground you again, to get away from these to get away from these games, you know. Just a little peace of mind. All right, what are we doing here? Brionna Jones, Natasha Howard, Tina Charles. Boston goes at 3. Boston goes at 3. Should we chalk donk it up here and take Charles and Howard? Are they the best plays? Is Ryan Howard and Natasha Howard, are they siblings? Take it, Tina Charles here. Guys, I think we got to stay in line here. Natasha Howard's got to be. Charles for sure. Clipper Nation's got Charles for sure. All right. Any leans for the extender? One thing I wanted to remind everybody, speaking of WNBA, check in here, guys, with your pick'em stuff. If you were the recipient of a Caitlin Clark bonus, there is a Caitlin Clark free square that was randomly being distributed that you can get after in here. We'll do the extender tomorrow because I want to do it with Nez. And we got another day to use the first extender for the next round. So we'll do the extender tomorrow. There we go. But make sure. Yeah, run any S-words on how many fish you theoretically should have caught. Yes. Came home, ran the S-words. We collected all the fish Skalansky's around. Brett Boy telling me that the girls are not siblings. They are not the Howard sisters. All right. Kelsey Mitchell. Brittany Griner falls all the way to 2. Wow, I was way off. Like Brionna Jones going at 11 here. I almost took her last round. Alicia Gray. Chelsea Gray. Are they sisters? Holy shit, we got a lot of overlap. What do we got out here? Okay, we're taking Alicia Gray. I've heard of her. That's a good pick. 46 fantasy points in the first game against Washington. That's a good pick. I know that's a good pick. This next pick, I need help. I need help on this next one. Bonner. We got Dewana Bonner. That's we could go a lot of ways with that one. I'm not sure I could say that one on stream anymore. I think we got to. I think we got to go with Dewana. I don't want to win this contest. Don't want to win this contest in a big way. Lloyd was the pick. Curry Goat telling me Lloyd was the pick. Jewel? Okay. So we got to move Jewel up the ranks for the next run. Yeah, you want to who? The Grays are also not siblings. A touching tribute to Sonny Gray and John Gray. Not siblings. My God, the WNBA killer. Oh, man. I mean, who knows? Who knows? If I get the ETR ranks, if I get the unabated ranks, I run a couple S words behind closed doors. Who knows? Who knows, man? We might be able to figure this one out. We didn't look at the out tags. You know what we should have looked at? We got to see what these game totals are like. Pretty flat. The aces are huge favorites, though. The aces are huge favorites. So we need to scroll the F down aces player. We need Stokes. Who's scrolling the F down to Stokes? Kai Stokes as the scroll the F down aces player you need for garbage time run when they are 13.5 point favorites here. 13.5 point favorites. We got to get down. Now we are going to go with, we could take the Q tag, Sophia Cunningham, for swappability. But I like Bria Hartley. A touching tribute to Nez to select Bria. We're taking Bria Hartley. She must be a rookie. No photo. No photo. There we go. Not gonna lie, don't want to win the contest. Has me rolling. This is why we do. This is why we stay true to the WNBA bit out here. I'm gonna open this one up to the side here so we can see who Car Park took. Okay, so Lexi Hall goes and Lindsay Allen go. All right. Miss Melissa in here cooking the men at the WNBA game. Out here cooking. Nez saying Sophia Cunningham is bad for the locker room vibes. All right. If you know, we know. All right. Car Park got fed. Jackie Young. So we learned that Jewel Lloyd's a good pick. Dewana is a good pick for the vibes. Asia Wilson's the GOAT. Vegas Aces are 13.5 point favorites, so you got to scroll the F down to Stokes. And touching tribute to Nez with the Bria selection. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. All right. All right, let's do a little baseball and then call it a show here. 11 game slate. Dude, we're kind of hurting for pitching today. I'm not going to lie. We're kind of hurting for pitching today. There's some like good names at the top here. But like I was looking at the pitching pool and like, okay, I don't really want to play Luzardo at Coors. Like I just never really want to play anyone at Coors. I know the Rockies could strike out a decent amount, but like the Rockies have a lot of right-handed power. And like by a lot, I mean like, 5 hitters or 4 hitters who are right-handed, can take them yard kind of thing. Yeah. And then I'm kind of scared of the Mariners game for pitching, and you're not going to either of them there. And the Mariners game, may or may not go. I'm scared of the Twins game for weather concerns, similar to what we saw yesterday. I don't want to play Patrick Corbin because I don't want to play Patrick Corbin. I don't care that Chris Paddock's been good because of the weather. Hogland, I have no idea if he's good or not. Eric Fried, he got tattooed a couple games ago, but then he went 9 innings of 8K baseball with less than 100 pitches. Like he literally threw like a Maddox. Crazy stuff. Kyle Hendricks, I'm stacking against. Birdsong doesn't go deep enough. And, I don't really care about him other than the changeup. Gavin Williams, I'd like to play, but I'm scared of the weather. Will Warren is like the end of a tier for me in terms of like strikeout rate potential. So like, I think we're kind of starved for pitching, guys. Like, I think it's Scooball. I think Yamamoto's in a whatever spot. Like, I don't love it. I think Cease is Cease, where we can get strikeouts from him. Okay, Twins are already postponed. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I obviously haven't been paying attention for the last 2 hours while we've been streaming. So I'll bring up weather in 1 second. It is usually our starting point, but I just wanted to start with, pitching, man. Pitching looks like we're a little starved for pitching today. And that doesn't really make me want to chase it either. I think Scooball's my SP1. I think Cease is my SP2. I think Yamamoto on teams where I don't have anyone from Arizona is fine, and I think he's a good play, but he's not a guy that I'm looking to get up and down or jump up and down about. I think there's a lot of bats that I like. There's a lot of stacks that I like. There's a lot of bats that I like. I think the Coors stuff is fine. Obviously, everybody is going to be chasing Phillies up the board, but I really like the Yankees stack. I know Corbin's been good, but we got some right-handed Yankees who can hammer Patrick Corbin in that park. I think the Dodgers stack is not amazing, but it's good. If there was no weather concerns, I'd want to play Mariners. Athletics are my favorite stack on the slate, like just in general. I'll play both Athletics and Angels this evening. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, guys. Like, I'm a little scared about pitching today. And like Cease is like, we're going to get some strikeouts from Cease, and he's probably my second favorite guy on the slate. But I also I'm not really like, I want to get overweight Cease today. Like, could he be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate? Absolutely. But I also know he has the propensity to give up the long ball. And one thing that shocked me, this is a shocking development for me this morning. I was going through, it's about that time of year that we start going through, some of what are the most recent trends, right? And I keep martingaling Baltimore over and over and over again. And I'm like, why isn't Gunnar Henderson doing stuff? Why isn't, I keep going to the Athletics, Sutter Health Park. I'm like, I got to get home runs from this park and all this sort of stuff. Man, this is crazy to see. I know it's early. Look at these park factors to start this year. Baltimore's stacks haven't broke like any slates. I've martingaled them so many effing times. Highest park factor in all of baseball right now. Baltimore Orioles, right there. Then we get the Athletics at Sutter Health, right there. We've been playing the shit out of them. Dodgers, maybe a little bit of noise in the sample because the Dodgers are so effing good, but like the park factor should be like agnostic of that for the most part, and they're there. So like Coors is playing down a little bit. Fenway will play up as it gets better. This is both sides of the plate handedness wise. We talked about the D-backs being bad for left-handed power. If we switch this D-backs one for the lefties, down at 12 now, not as bad. It's basically neutral, so not as bad as last year. Anyways, this is a long-winded way of me saying that I was shocked to find out that Toronto was playing half decent in terms of home runs, because if we go by home runs here, I was shocked to find out that the Orioles Park, Camden Yards, was playing this well for home runs, and I was shocked to find out that the Blue Jays Stadium was here. And that's how my brain went from Dylan Cease, scared of home runs, over there, to Blue Jays to there. And it's kind of crazy because like the Blue Jays haven't been like good. Like the Blue Jays haven't really been like hitting tanks, like they've been fine from like a real life baseball standpoint, but like they haven't been breaking our slates for us. So, yeah. Anyways. Yeah. Great American Ballpark buried, not my park factors. You love that. Austin asking, why is San Diego so poor? It is because of the marine layer, and it needs to warm up in San Diego to play better for power. Always plays better for left-handed power than right-handed power because of the way in which the wind travels in that park, traditionally speaking. But the marine layer this time of year plays very, very bad. Like, that's a pitcher's park first and foremost. Yeah. Anyways, those were all the things I had to share. I was also looking at like the Scooball versus Cease debate, and I'm looking at like how bad that Cardinals Busch Stadium has played for home runs so far, which makes me like Scooball like even more compared to the crowd. Yeah. But there you go. I mean, we're going to be playing a lot more slates this year, so just monitoring some of these trends. I'm going to keep martingaling the O's. And then, oh, sorry, I went down one more rabbit hole that I wanted to share. Where was we're looking at the park factors. So Baltimore's park factors, best for home runs for both sides of the plate. Best park factor in baseball thus far. Granted, whatever, it's like a 20 whatever game sample. Look at this top performers, because everybody told me Gunner was bad right now. And I play Gunner every fucking day. All I did was Gunner stacks yesterday. I swear to God. Hard hit percentage. Shohei Ohtani, O'Neal Cruz, Gunnar Henderson. Right? Looking over here. Exit velocity. Shohei Ohtani, O'Neal Cruz, Gunnar Henderson. Ahead of Aaron Judge by 0.1 mile an hour. We're just fucking going to play the Baltimore Orioles until they smash, guys. We're just going to play them over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? That's what we're doing out here. That's my takeaway. That's what we're going with. I did want to play some of these lefties if the weather holds here for Seattle. Right there. One other thing that I was looking at is bullpens that are terrible in baseball right now. The Rockies and the Angels are awful. And those are two of my favorite stacks to stack against today, with the Athletics and with the Phillies. But everybody knows that because the Phillies are at Coors. Yeah. Any weather stuff that we could be concerned about now with Minnesota already being postponed is basically just Seattle at the White Sox. So probably you're not playing any pitching from that game anyways. So if you want a little bit of contrarian leverage, you know, mixing some of those left-handed Seattle bats with Julio or like, yeah, with Randy Rosarina or something like that feels good. But yeah, top projecting stacks are going to be kind of all the ones I already hit on there. And we're going to keep playing Gunnar Henderson. We're going to keep playing Baltimore, guys. We are not giving up just yet. Cardi's favorite pitchers, he likes Yamamoto more than Cease for what it's worth. I like Cease more than Yamamoto. He has Will Warren and Eric Fetty as decently draftable. Eric Fetty, obviously the park working in his favor there, but I will definitely get to some left-handed Tigers against Eric Fetty. He can't keep getting away with this meme. Logan Henderson seems like the most like overpriced, starter today, just in terms of ADP relative to projection. But that being said, it's just basically a huge tier after those upper echelon 2-3 guys that people are getting to. Yeah, that's kind of my major takeaways. If we want to use the ballpark pal just to see what some implied team totals look like or run totals look like, nobody's drafting the Rays or the Astros after they fell on their face yesterday. So if you want to go do that for contrarian leverage sake, but the Yankees are going to project very well. Rockies will be okay, particularly those righties at the top of the lineup, Tovar, Goodman. Phillies are going to have the highest total everywhere you look. Dodgers and Athletics are going to be adjacent to them. Angels are going to be fine. Ward is on a heater right now. Zach Neto should have homered in multiple games in a row here, yet hasn't. He should, directionally accurate balls that should have been clearing walls that weren't. And then, Baltimore, Detroit, and Seattle here. This park, though, I'm a little worried for the bats for Detroit, but I will mix in some stacks there as well. We could find some home run calls that we like in a half second relative to the price tags. Maybe do a pick 'em or two. Let's go back to Paid, who put that together for us. Share his tweet. I retweeted this earlier for everyone here. According to his fantasy points relative to ADP, Seattle looking like a really good stack for him. Tigers, Angels, Astros, Rays that nobody's getting to, right-handed Rockies. Seems pretty good. Paid saying updated sheet in the replies. I forgot to remove pitcher ADPs in the original. Okay, cool. All right. Travis saying that it's hot over in San Diego right now, so a little heat wave rolling through. Not going to help us tonight because the game is being played in Toronto, but that will help in the future there. Yeah. Okay. I did see one last really cool thing on the internet somewhere this morning, but I have forgotten where it is. I've forgotten where it is, guys. My bad. Apologies. Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna like Rays again. I'm gonna like Athletics again. I'm gonna like Angels. I'm gonna like maybe some contrarian Astros we could get to. I'm gonna have some Colorado stacks. I'm gonna have some Philly stacks when they fall. Yeah, just thinking through the Phillies lineup. Is it out yet? Bear with me because we've been doing 1,000 different fucking sports right now. Baseball lineups. I have not seen a Phillies lineup yet, but imagine Bryson Stott, who missed yesterday, will be back in there today. Going to be loaded with lefties at the top. I think Max Kepler was underpriced this morning when I was drafting in terms of relative to ADP. So just things to think through in that stack. Go back to ADP here, see where the Phillies are at now. Yeah, if you could pair any combination of these guys together at the front, it's good. Bryson Stott probably lead off. Max Kepler's buried. He should probably be going a little bit higher than that. I like him today. Brandon Marsh probably in there as well. Probably both the left-handed outfielders come back in. Brandon Marsh pinch hit yesterday for Rojas, so he came in. Lou Dog saying a 7 implied feels low for the Phillies. I tend to agree with you there. They scored 9 yesterday, and none were off the starters. It is the worst bullpen. But there's other good spots to get to today for sure. And that park isn't like the best in the world for home runs. It's the best in the world for run scoring. So 7's probably somewhat reasonable. Let's see if the Athletics prices have come up. They've come up a little bit. But yeah, getting to Soderstrom, getting to Rooker today in a big way. Yeah. Good ones to get to there. Goldschmidt probably leading off today. I should give this a refresh to see if the orders come in there. Yeah. Let's get in here and do a couple drafts, see what it looks like. Seattle is creeping up now that there has been not as many weather concerns. They're creeping up a little bit here. So that's probably a stack that I want to get to as well. Frozen Rope, Big Fly, tons to choose from. Let's do the main contest first. Ooh. Similar show tomorrow, guys. I think maybe we'll mix in a little bit of football just because we won't have NBA to draft tomorrow, or hockey because it'll be like the on day versus off day. Shout out to the Lou Dog who's in here with us. Joe's in here. Cam's in here. RJ's in here. Holy smokes, friends and family. Who's the last player? It is Chris. Full badge brigade, friends and family, red badged crew jamming together here. Let's fight over some Phillies and see what happens. I might go like just super contrarian with this one, guys. What do you think? Who are the best stacks, the two best stacks that nobody's drafting right now? What are the Rays ADPs? I mean, I like the Rays better. Yeah. I like the Rays better against righties than I do against lefties, which is the opposite of what it used to be. But you could run it back with like, I did a lot of like Yandy, Junior, Morel yesterday, Caballero. But Caballero's always most likely going to get lifted for a pinch hitter. That being said, Josh Lowe's in the lineup today. So that there goes one outfield option that could pinch hit for him. Do we like Ohtani? I mean, he's Ohtani, right? You just take Ohtani at the top end of draft boards. I mean, I could make a case for Bryce Harper and Schwarber being better picks than Ohtani today, but it's very close. Let's take the cover boy, Bryce Harper. Switch it up. Paid likes Detroit. That's a good shout. I mean, getting some double bubble off Fetty. I mean, I like the Detroit spot, but we just highlighted why that park is really bad so far this year. Also, Cardi likes Fetty. So there's that. That kind of scares me a little bit. But Detroit, double outfielder for contrarian leverage, like Green plus Kerry Bonds, aka Kerry Carpenter. That feels like a good one. No Bo Sox saying Rays and Astros look good. Angels and Athletics. Yeah, those are all the same things I'm seeing too. I like those as well. What are we doing with the Baltimore ADPs? I'm going to be the guy playing Baltimore today. That's what's going to happen. Nobody's playing Baltimore. I'll play Baltimore again. I'll die on this hill. Whatever, Logan Henderson. Whatever, dude. We're coming after you today. You get a little double bubble leverage on a pitcher who's going like quite high. Yeah. Let's do Gunner. I'm not going to give away my whole plan yet. But let's have a little fun here. Yamamoto goes, which is kind of to be. We're doing it, man. No Bo Sox. We're doing it. Yeah, Laureano yesterday with a homer. Kind of a fun scroll there. Let's take Cease. I think Cease is closer to Yamamoto than everybody's giving credit. I'm not a big play Luzardo guy. I mean, we got to keep doing it, no Bo Sox. Roll the tape back like 2 seconds, man. Like, this is all you got to see. Look at the exit velo. Look at the hard hit percentage. Look at the park factor. It's the best place to hit. It's the best place for home runs thus far. Let's see if it's better for lefties or righties. Best park factor in baseball for left-handed power by a landslide. 214. League average is 100. 214. Crazy, man. We're going to keep doing it. Yeah, I know. My wallet's been taking a beating too. You guys can see. I mean, I didn't play a ton over the weekend there, but like you guys can see, look at these. 26 entries, $30. 17 entries, $22. 30 entries, $88. 21 entries, $29. 22 entries, $29 or $95. I've been taking a beating too by chasing these dragons, man. But we got to stick with the process. Stick with the process. Shit. They're in Milwaukee. There goes the thesis. Damn it. Left-handed power plays better in Milwaukee than right-handed power, at least. There could be our bailout thesis. Alec Boehm stack's fine. Let's do the Kepler one. I think Kepler hits higher in that order than everybody else is giving credit today. I think he probably hits ahead of JT Realmuto. and maybe Alec Boehm, but at least higher than one of the two. Max Kepler bats 5th today. What do you think? Maybe 6th. Max Kepler hits. Let me see yesterday's lineup. Yeah, Max Kepler hits 6th today behind Castellanos, right? Stout, Turner, Bryson Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Kepler, Castellano, or vice versa. Then Riomoto or Boehm. Yeah, I like it. All right, let's martingale this Baltimore stuff, even though it's not in the park. Jackson Holiday continues to lead off. Cedric Mullins was in the winning lineup yesterday. Let's do Cedric Mullins. And then let's get contrarian with a scroll here. Hey, while we're looking at the park factor stuff, let's take a look here. Left-handed bats, Brewers. Below league average for both home runs and park factor. What if we do both sides? Huh. Interesting. Brewers Field sucks right now. American Family Field, the old Miller Park. Thanks. Huh. Maybe today's not our day. Maybe today is not our day for the Baltimore Martingale. Austin saying there's a $5 2 max yesterday. It was a cool idea. Absolutely. Very cool. T Cage asking, where was it? T Cage tuning in, fading Mariners with the weather. I mean, I think you got to mix them in. I think it's a good enough spot that it's worth mixing in. And then there's a late games to swap to. It's not going to be a spot that I'm going to be over exploitative on. But doing like a Rowdy Tellez plus Cal Raleigh plus Julio, something like that was one that I threw out there. I like that. I like it. They got a lineup out. That's bullish. All right. So we could go with the Phillies stack here. Tack on Alec Boehm to it. We could scroll the F down for the Phillies. And nope, we can't. They're all gone. So Alec Boehm. Or we could go Baltimore. Because I don't really want to do a one-off when we do like a Baltimore thing. What do we think? It plays better for left-handed power than right-handed. Adley's buried. Adley will probably hit 4th today. 3rd or 4th? I think it'll be Jackson Holiday. Right? What do you think? Jackson Holiday, Gunner. No, Mountcastle's been hitting 2nd. Jackson Holiday, Mountcastle, Gunner, Adley, O'Hearn, Mullins. Yeah. I don't know. Mullins has come to life, though. When they buried him at the bottom of the order, he's come to life. Judge over Ohtani? I think so. I really like the Judge spot today. And Judge has been killing lefties, man. We wouldn't even have been asking this question like 2 years ago. It would have been like Judge versus Corbin with the short porch. Fucking forget about it. Slam it. All in, Judge. Let's look at the pick'em lobby and see, like, let's just do home runs for a second here. And just see, like, Judge is probably like a 1-3 or something. Yeah, 1-3-1. There you go. Crazy, man. Wind in Oracle Park tonight. There's wind every night. Is it worse than usual? The evergreen reminder that. All right, let's see what we're working with here in terms of home runs. Let's see. I kind of like some of those Rays as we were hitting on earlier. I kind of like the Athletics. I like the Athletics. I like the Rays. I like the Astros. Maybe some Mariners, but we might get rained out. Let's see. All right. Judge price tag, Ohtani price tag, and Schwarber price tag are not enough for me. Kyle Stowers isn't on the main slate. Harper. Cody Bellinger at 4-2-1. It's lefty, but he gets the short porch. And Corbin's been worse, been bad against lefties this year. Not bad. Let's go shopping. Wow, man. Jorge Polanco's a 1.95. Just think about that for a second for our games. I think you want to have some Seattle stacks in your life. Jorge Polanco, who is routinely going undrafted, has better home run odds than Zach Neto, who gets drafted a lot. He has better home runs than Brent Rooker, who gets drafted every damn time. Think about that. You're going to want some Seattle stacks if that game plays. That's crazy, man. Jorge Polanco, better home run odds than Brent Rooker in the lobby. Huh. Vlad with a 3-1-2. Gunner still, man. Gunner, even though they're not in the good park, Gunner's still a 197. Cal Raleigh's a 151. Paul Goldschmidt. I like that Paul Goldschmidt leading off. The price is a little low, but Trent Grisham hits lefties well. Trent Grisham's a non-zero against lefties. Just wanted to say the updated players pick'em tab on mobile is incredible. Makes it so much easier to sort by category, stat category. Yeah, absolutely. It is beautiful. It is very nice. Man, Jackson Churio 3.26. When are we going to give up on Jackson Churio? I just can't do it. Man, Soderstrom 219. Well, I like that all the plays that I like in our game have pretty favorable price tags. But in terms of building pick'ems, it makes it harder. How about Justin Turner with the hat on backwards profile pick? What a fucking G. What a pimp, dude. Rake Myers. Rake Myers as a 4.51. Dude, what do we think about a Rake Myers 4.51? We're not getting good prices right now on a lot of the chalk spots that we liked. So I think we got to go. I think we got to get creative with the Astros here. Let's see what we got. Let's get creative with this Astros and Rays game. Rake Myers with a 4.51. Aranda's lefty. Don't love it. Caballero might only get 2.5 at bats. Man, I can't believe Chas McCormick can't find at bats in this lineup. Chas McCormick's hitting 9th today. 2 years ago, we were drafting him in the dingers in the 8th round as a stacking partner to Astros stacks. Holy shit. Isaac Paredes revenge game tour. What's Isaac's price tag? Man, look at these home run odds in this game, and Houston's not getting drafted in our contest. Isaac Paredes as a 3.15. Let's do the Isaac one from a price tag standpoint. And then let's tack on, who do we like? I wonder what Kerry Bonds is. What do you think Kerry Bonds is on here? Can he get to Fetty with one swing? Absolutely. Now we're cooking. Isak and Kerry Bonds, decent hitting conditions. Don't love the park for Kerry Bonds, obviously, but don't hate the matchup. Let's play the same thesis with Rake Myers, and then let's see what we got on the Rays side. Play that game. Wow, Morel is a 194 and nobody's drafting him. I mean, I know home runs isn't the only thing that scores fantasy points, but like, come on. Let's do Junior. I was all over Junior yesterday. Let's do Junior. I got a nice little profit booster to add here. 40%. Holy smokes, we're going to be rich. 1 BBM entry gets you 1,400. Let's cook. Let's cook. Chas McCormick of 448. Yeah, Lou Dog, I agree with you. I know. Let me have some fun. I know. I think that's pretty good. I like the athletic stuff as well. Like we were like, oh, what's going on here? Athletics, Angels Athletics, Tuesday. Yeah, like Brent Rooker, like too low of a price. Shea Langleier's at like 247. You know, you could do worse. Logan O'Hoppe, 265 is kind of fun. Jan Mancada's okay. JJ Bleday's been buried at the bottom of the lineup. Joe Adell, 349. Okay. Okay, let's do Adele. Man, let's run it back. Last year's darlings. This feels so gross. Man, this feels so gross. You guys, I'm going to click the button for you so you don't have to click the button because we're all going to throw up in our mouths a little bit here, okay? What do we think? Give Chas McCormick 3.3 ABs, please. One time. Joe Adell. We got 2 good parks. We got the wind blowing out. 54.72. Half of BBM paid for. Come on. I like those spots. I may hate myself in the morning, but I like those spots. We're sick, man. 2 guys that had ADPs in like the 150s. We know they're talented. We know they both have 20 home run potential. Can they both hit one on the same night in good conditions? Come on, one time. All right, guys, let's tie a bow on it there. I think I'm going to play more Baltimore than the field. I think I'm going to play more Athletics than the field. I think I'm going to play more Houston than the field. I think I'm going to try and play more Seattle than the field and run the risk of that one being rained out. I think I'm going to soft fade Coors. Not that I don't believe in the spot. Not that I don't love the spot. I just don't want to be holding hands with 1,000 other people chasing the same GMs. I will definitely be mixing and matching some one-off Coors or some two-man skinny stack Coors, or doing exactly what I showed you I did in the last draft there, where, you know, you do Harper plus Kepler or Harper plus Bohm, and then you tack on a 3-stack from somewhere else, or you do like a 3-1-1 or something like this. Because Anthony Sensatella has been the worst pitcher in baseball, period. Like, I don't even think it's hyperbole. So you're definitely going to want to have some. But if you're only playing limited entries tonight and we're trying to get different than the field, man, this Houston spot's creeping up right now. Zach Littell's had a problem with right-handed power, too, and fly balls. We're going to be the Houston guys tonight. Shit. Oh, man. All right, let's tie a bow on it there. Back tomorrow. Did some pick'ems. Did a full baseball breakdown. Did a full NBA breakdown. Did the marathon with Nez and Pete before this show. And we did WNBA mixed in. We did NHL. We've covered all of our bases. We have done it all. I will save you guys the hardship of me going full screen with my face again. And I will just tie a bow on it there. Best of luck tonight. Thank you again to Joshua for the subscriptions. Thank you guys all for tuning in to the previous show and this show. Much love. Happy to be back. We will be ripping some drafts tomorrow. Probably mix in a little bit of football. Everybody's favorite time of the show. The end. Peace.